movie. Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we're taking a look at the NECA Ash vs. Evil Dead Ash Williams figure, the value stop version. It's one of two versions of Ash that came out in this first wave of Ash vs. Evil Dead figures. Honestly, this could be the only wave. I don't know if there's any plans to make this a continuing thing or not, but this is Ash in his work uniform. I'll say right up front that of the two Ashes in this wave, this is probably the least interesting of the two. He comes with fewer accessories and definitely isn't the iconic look, but I still like this figure, so let's take a closer look at him. This figure only really comes with one accessory, which is the Lil Lori doll that he fights in the stock room. So we have the doll in her dress with her hands up like she's punching people. I think she even has a little bloody nose there, which is great detail. It's actually really well painted for how absolutely tiny this thing is. It's very, very small, and it seems like something that would be lost easily, but it's actually a cool little accessory. Obviously, she can't stand on her own, but to jump ahead, Ash comes with a secondary head sculpt, and you can kind of stuff her foot in his mouth and then put her hands around the bridge of his nose, and then she's on there attacking his face, which is pretty freaking awesome. We'll get back to the other head sculpt here in a second, but the head sculpt he comes with in the box, I think is really well done. I think it captures Bruce Campbell as he is now pretty well. You have a little scratch across the side of his face, but that's the only real damage on him. I think they got the wrinkles and the scars pretty well. He has a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow there on his face too. You can see just a bit of the graying there on the sides of his head. The hair is nicely sculpted. It's just jet black, kind of slicked back there on his head. And overall, I think it's a really nice head sculpt. So you can pop that off and pop on that other head sculpt, and I love the character this one has. It just looks great to me. His mouth open, the tongue's nicely detailed, the teeth are detailed. Everything else that was on the other head sculpt that I like is there. The wrinkles are all in place. The eyes are decently painted. The flesh tone's pretty good. The graying on the sides of his hair are a little more obvious in this version, so I don't know if my one head just has too much black paint, but overall I think this is really nicely done and a very high quality head sculpt for a figure in this price range. Similar to a lot of the other Ash figures we've gotten from NECA, he kind of has a rubberized torso here with the shirt, so it's actually a soft piece. It's a good red. They have some black shading in there as well to bring out all the wrinkles and details. They have the black buttons going down the front. We have his value stop name tag with his name on it and Stock Boy. And on the other side we have his pocket protector with all the little pens in it. Nothing really too exciting here on the back of it. His sleeves are hard sculpted with all the wrinkles in there. For his right hand, we have the wood hand. Kind of just an open pose to it. The fingernails and wood grain are detailed in there pretty well. And on the other side, we get a trigger finger, but we don't get a gun with this version, so you have to steal it from the other incarnation of Ash if you want it. Can't really even see the lower torso on this figure, but we do get the legs with all the appropriate wrinkles in them, with his weird bright brown pants. It all kind of struck me as odd that they colored him like this. And then we get pretty similar to his classic boots here. Some good tread on the bottom and 2 little peg holes. Now, if you heard my review of the Ultimate Ash figure from Evil Dead 2, you heard me gush about the articulation they added to these Ash vs. Evil Dead figures. And yeah, it's pretty impressive. The head's pretty standard. It's a ball joint, so you can look up, down, turn his head left and right, as well as pivot. You don't get a ton of upward motion, but it's decent enough. Pin socket shoulder, so you'll go forward, back, as well as out to the side. The elbow is the piece that really just looks amazing to me. The sculpt doesn't look too bad there at the elbow, but it's actually a double jointed elbow. Fairly well hidden and just absolutely freaking awesome. We do get a swivel there also at the elbow, so very similar to a lot of NECA figures. And that's just a beautifully well hidden, well articulated joint right there. I hope we get more of that in the future on all kinds of lines. Now, we do get 2 different forms of wrist articulation. The wood hand is just on a swivel, and the other hand is actually on a ball joint. Kind of makes sense, just given the nature of his hands. I can't tell if the joint is at the mid-torso or the waist, or maybe both. We do get a torso crunch in here somewhere. This, of course, is hindered because of the rubber shirt, but we can also rotate side to side. The legs are on pin and socket joints, so go forward, back, as well as out to the side, and rotate. We do have the diaper that I always talk about, the soft, rubbery lower torso that enables a lot more articulation. The legs on here bend almost a full 90 degrees. Once again, an improvement over that Ultimate figure. And then and we get a pretty solid ball joint here at the foot. For a size comparison, here's our Ash vs. Evil Dead Ash next to the Ultimate Evil Dead 2 Ash, and it looks like the Evil Dead 2 version is just slightly taller, which is a bit weird, but it's not a huge height difference, so I don't think it's going to be super noticeable on your shelf, especially if you actually have these guys in action poses instead of just standing straight up like this. And I really like this figure. I think if you're going to get one Ash figure from this wave, this isn't the one you're going to want. The other figure I think is just a lot more iconically Ash. But this I really enjoy just because it captures Ash more in just an everyday mode with the stock boy thing, and then kind of that silly humor that Evil Dead's known for with the doll attacking him, which I really appreciate. So this figure gets a strong recommend from me. The articulation is fantastic, the detailing is really freaking good, and overall I just truly enjoy it. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, use the name Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been our Outside the Box Reviews. Hail to the king, baby.